This is absolutely critical what is taking place right now. The Trump-sponsored Board of Peace is something which in some way, shape or form is Trump's idea of a potential replacement to some aspects of what the United Nations system is actually about. Now, there are 8 nation Muslim bloc countries, among them Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, Jordan, Turkey, Qatar, Indonesia and Pakistan, who have actually signed up. India has been offered a seat on this. If you spend $1 billion, then you get a permanent seat. Pakistan has not spent $1 billion, but they've just signed on. India, for our part, has not signed on. The Israeli Prime Minister has confirmed membership after initial internal deliberations. However, in an interview to NDTV less than half an hour, 45 minutes back, the Israeli Economy Minister said that if there was some sort of transitional military force in Gaza, because when you're talking about peace, that's one of the big things that this Board of Peace is looking at. There will be no Pakistani soldiers or soldiers from any country, including Turkey, which supports terrorism. So that's a very important statement. It's an exclusive interview on NDTV and a clarification in a sense of who can be part of the Board of Peace. You can sign on to it, but that doesn't necessarily mean, in the case of Gaza, that you will have soldiers on the ground as part of some sort of transitional force. Now, there are several countries which have said that they are not willing to be on board. France, Norway, Sweden, Slovenia have officially declined. They've said that the board undermines the United Nations system. There are some countries which are still evaluating it. That includes India, Germany, the UK, Italy and Japan. But what this does represent, and I think this is important, is a fundamental change and a threat, if you will like, to the United Nations structure. This is about which Donald Trump has repeatedly criticized. He says it just doesn't work. So will this be a new international charter looking at international peace? One of the key aspects of this will certainly be the Gaza crisis at the moment.
That's right, Vishnu, and because initially this was thought to be some, a board that would concentrate on Gaza and help rebuild Gaza, but ever since it was announced and ever since the leaked charter and, all the speculation, it's really grown in mandate, hasn't it?
No, exactly. So Donald Trump actually sees this as a potential replacement to some aspects of the United Nations. I'm not entirely sure what. He's got his own family members who are looking after it, sort of handling it. He's got the support of 25 to 30 nations already. And so they're all here at Davos in the World Economic Forum signing on to the BOP, or the Board of Peace, as it were. It's designed, and I've got a few details, to provide strategic oversight, mobilize international reconstruction funding, and ensure accountability in conflict zones. The chair, of course, for life is Donald Trump himself, but the executive board has a 7-member group of high-profile, individuals overseeing specific authorities. So Marco Rubio, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, who's the son-in-law of Donald Trump, Tony Blair, Ajay Banga of the World Bank, Mark Rowan, the CEO of Apollo Global Management. These are all members of the executive board. So it's got different structures. Trump is the leader of this for life. So this is Trump's own international global initiative meant at looking at various aspects of stabilizing situations, scenarios in areas where there's war or conflict, whether it's reconstruction, whether it's potentially boots on the ground.
That's right, Vishnu. Also, as we mentioned, India invited to be a part of this Board of Peace. We've not responded so far. What are India's concerns? Just take us through all that.
Well, India has always, for decades, been one of the strongest partner nations as far as United Nations peacekeeping forces are concerned. We've got thousands of Indian soldiers on a regular basis annually deployed in UN peacekeeping missions, whether it's in the Congo, whether it is between Lebanon and Israel, and in other parts of the world as well. And therefore, that is a structure which India has consistently backed. The United States, as I mentioned a little while back, has offered India a partnership to be a part of the Board of Peace, or Trump has offered a partnership. India is on the fence at the moment, looking at what this is all about. But there are several countries, as I mentioned, Norway, France, who have declined to be a member of this. India stands for the United Nations system. That's what we've always stood for. And therefore, we'll have to wait and see if Delhi comes on board. At the moment, they've said nothing.
Right, and Vishnu, what is of concern, we just saw the Pakistani Prime Minister there at the ceremony, signing on, shaking hands with Trump.
Yeah, that's because Pakistan is a member.
Yes,
They have already signed on. They signed on, I think it was on the
concern for
21st
India.
of January. But they haven't committed to $1 billion, which makes them a permanent member. They've just signed on and said, we're a part of this. And what does this indicate? This actually indicates the growing closeness between Trump and the Pakistani administration, Shahbaz Sharif, and their Field Marshal Asim Munir. So this is part of a calibration in Pakistan in terms, or a recalibration in their ties with the United States, which has been great in the past, not so good in the recent after that, but of late has really picked up with them once again being considered an important partner in the fight against terrorism. That's the irony. Pakistan is a state that sponsors terrorism, but in many senses, a body like this, which is meant to take on terrorism, includes Pakistan in it.
That's right. Vishnu, also, what can we say about the war in Ukraine? Because that's another issue that was expected that today Donald Trump would be taking some steps on that. And it's something he said that we're going to end the war in Ukraine very soon.
Well, he's been saying that for a while now. He said that the war in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, would never have started had he been a president at the time. But what he's also been saying is that every time that Russia appears keen, I should say, to end the war, Ukraine isn't, and vice versa. And therefore, it's a bit of a deadlock, but he is optimistic of bringing an end to this conflict. He claims to have ended many wars around the world. He keeps talking about India and Pakistan, though we know factually that that's not the case. He didn't end Op Sindoor or the 88 hours of fighting in May. It was Pakistan that came to the ceasefire table. So these are claims made by the US president, and we need to look at them at face value and sort of look at them in each case and judge whether they're correct or not.
That's right. For viewers just joining in, what you're seeing on your screens are visuals from Davos, where Donald Trump has just signed his Board of Peace, signed the charter for the Board of Peace. Vishnu Shom there reporting from Davos. There you can see the signing members, the foundational members signing over there. And India so far has abstained. We've been invited. We haven't said whether we're joining this Board of Peace. Let's go back to Vishnu for more. Vishnu, take us through what the Board of Peace really constitutes. Its focus is going to be Gaza, though the mandate has increased, according to what has been revealed, the leaked charter so far.
So the Board of Peace ceremony and the signing on that you're talking about is taking place literally about 100 meters away from where I am, and it's taking place right now. So what is this all about? It was initially an oversight mechanism for Donald Trump's 20-point comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. It's grown in terms of its planned obligations. Its mandate has expanded to a broader global conflict mediation body. That's how it is described. But the exact scope of that is not known. So many nations who are very close to the United States, between 25 and 30, have actually signed on. What is the core mission? I'll read out some of the key points. It's designed to provide strategic oversight, mobilize international reconstruction funding, ensure accountability in conflict zones. It has a multi-tiered structure. The chairman is Donald Trump for life. It's got an executive board, very high-profile members of that, including the World Bank chief. There is separately the Gaza executive as well. Remember, this was initially when talk of this Board of Peace started coming on. It was at a time when the US really got involved in figuring out a solution for Gaza once the violence ends. Congratulations. Reconstruction or the end of Hamas, the end of terror, etc., etc. So it's grown since then. There are several leaders in that executive board: Marco Rubio, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, Tony Blair, Ajay Banga, who's the World Bank president, Mark Rowan, the CEO of Apollo Global Management, among others. As I mentioned earlier on, there's permanent membership. You pay $1 billion, you become a permanent member. You have to pay that $1 billion within the first year, and then of course you can be a member like Pakistan is without having had to pay.